Alright. This, so, I don't know, bedrooms, an office. Yeah, I don't know. Haven't really decided what I'm going to do with those. And then the top of the tower, this kind of like canopy thing so you can look out. Now you can see the fortress. It's that farm, as big as it is, doesn't it's interesting when you view perspective changes when you get up high. It's quite that farm is quite a bit larger than the size of this mob farm. It's probably 4 of these. That. So I always it throws everything off a little bit. I don't know how to word it, but the way the game handles distance, because this is 4 of these. They look almost actually this one looks a little bit smaller than the mob farm. So anyway, I am going to be adding the next main part of the farm, as I need 16 pens for the sheep so I can have my 16 colors of wool. Right now I just have a pen back there with, I don't know, 20 or 30 sheep in it, and I'm just dyeing the wool manually, but getting all the colors of the sheep so I don't have to do that, it's a nice thing to do. So, oh, I should have mentioned that. When I built this, the campfires, they weren't, so I don't have smoke coming out of my chimneys, but the chimneys aren't quite large enough. Well, I guess that one would be. I don't know. I could rig something up to make the smoke coming out the chimneys now. I don't know. I might look into that. That's a new feature of the game that I haven't utilized yet. And that is about it for the chateau. In the original build, the chateau looks almost identical, except I made the floor an additional block thicker so that I could hide glowstone under the carpet on the second floor and not interrupt the ceiling of the first floor. So that's one of the changes I did between this world and the original version of this seed before it became corrupted, is I thickened the floor an additional block so that I can putting glowstone under the carpet is a nice way of lighting rooms up without having to just stick torches in obvious, I mean, if you're going to do a medieval look, having glowstone lamps isn't as clean or as traditional as like the torches. That's like how a castle would be lit up in the 1300s. So hiding glowstone under carpet is kind of what my way of resolving that. Okay, this is the other barrier wall, blocking off the peninsula. It just comes right down, and then over this little, there's a little bit of water underneath right here, onto this little island. And you have a really nice, get nice and close to the ocean monument. And yeah, I'm going to build this into a deep water harbor and build a huge sailing ship at some point. I was in the middle of doing that, the harbor work, when I gave up my other seed because of how corrupt. There's a there's a sheep in a boat right there. I don't know what's going on with that. I didn't do that. Must have found his way into that boat. So, what's up, sheep? The mob farm. When I reloaded the seed and discovered that there was the pillager outpost right here in the middle of my area, I just left it. Now all the major parts of this farm are other videos to show how they work. But if you look at the front door of the fortress, actually, let me run kind of back over here a second. And I have to shift this over. I screwed up and I was off a block, but that's okay. It's easy to fix. This is supposed to line right up with the front door of the fortress. I'm actually off one block. I'll fix that. But so I wanted a pathway going straight to the fortress. And so when you pull into this harbor, or the harbor that I'll build on the other side of the chateau, you'll come through the walkway, and then this will lead you straight toward the main entrance of the fortress. And so I'm probably going to bulldoze this once I turn that into a better mob farm. because right now I need the experience that comes out of this pillager farm. This is on this video, I actually go from no levels, 0, I used up all my levels, and then in 60 seconds I picked up over 30 levels when this thing was running. You have to activate a raid to get this thing to run full tilt, but there's a whole video about that, so go watch that if you're curious. So I'm not going to dwell on that, and then behind that is the sugarcane farm. There's a whole video on that, so if you want to see how that works, go watch that. And then this is the chicken farm. Again, there's a video on that, and then as most of you know, my first video was on this farm and the 6 silos and the elevator, all the crops. For anybody watching this video that hasn't seen that, I'll just show real quick, I promise. Water flushes all the crops into a trough, which is fully lined with hoppers. That goes into an elevator, and then is a giant sorter at the top, and it sends it down into the respective silos. And the silos can hold, I forget, I remember saying it on the video, I did the math, and that can make a lot more storage. I could run chests down all the walls and triple or quadruple more than that. I could increase the density, let's just say, of the silos quite a bit, so each silo could hold probably millions of items. But realistically, these farms are so big, the chicken farm, this farm, the sugarcane farm, that after 1 or 2 harvests, you end up with more than you ever really need. You just have huge amounts. So, over here, I haven't talked about this farm yet. I'll do a separate video, but this is an iron farm. I didn't design this. This is the one farm, or the one machine in my build that is not my design. Everything else is completely my design, although sometimes they're familiar or similar to other people's designs. That's just, there's a certain way to do things. You know, so sometimes you're going to get similar, you know, different players building similar looking designs. But everything else in my, oh, I have a phone call. Hold on a second. My apologies. Carnival Cruise Line trying to get me to go on another cruise. I love cruising, but we have a cruise already that we have to go on that we haven't because COVID prevented us. And so we booked it two years ago. Actually 3 years ago because it was before COVID. And we haven't taken it yet. And now, between school and all the kids' activities and work, it's so difficult to find a point where an entire family of 4 has a week off and we can just, you know, without it being a holiday. Yes, of course we have Christmas off. Of course we have New Year's and the week of Thanksgiving, but we're also extremely busy with other functions on those weeks. We can't just go to the Caribbean. I mean, we could just go to the Caribbean. That's kind of what I would rather do, but such is life. Okay. Anyway, yes, so this is an iron farm. It's not my design, and I would love to give credit to whoever designed it, but I forgot because I built this thing a really long time ago, and I don't remember. I just looked it up on YouTube. I've modified it since, and it's to improve its performance. But the basics of this farm, I will do a full build tutorial. This thing is so easy to build. The difficult part is a zombie. Oh, whoops, it's night. The farm's lit up enough that I can sometimes forget it's... Get away. Hang on, let me sleep this off. The mob farm could be built almost instantly. Die! Alright. I use, well, okay, so let me get in here. Where's the gate to this thing? I don't want to expound upon this too much because I could just make a video out of this, but I haven't talked about it in the farm yet, and it's kind of important to point this out because, so there's a baby zombie. He's not named. I don't have a name tag on him, but baby zombies, and it might be because the zombie is within the confines of the village, but before this there was an adult zombie. This one's a baby zombie, but I don't name tag them. They don't despawn. I don't know if it's a glitch or if I just got lucky or if something to do with baby zombies. And when there was an adult zombie in there, he was holding a piece of train track. And there's the most difficult part of building this farm is, you know, basically getting a zombie inside. You have to put the villagers in first, and then you feed a zombie. But you look how fast this thing produces iron golems, and it shoves them into this bit of floating lava. And this is all nether brick, so it does not burn. So it can hold the lava there without catching on fire. It's considered a village, and I built it so close to the pillager outpost that the village, the borders of what this is defined as a village in game mechanics, and it's so close that it overlaps the defined perimeter of the outpost, which means when I trigger a raid, the raid automatically begins in the outpost. Because if the outpost is close enough to a village, that's where the raid actually comes from. Normally, if you just have a village in the middle of nowhere, the raid will just come over the hill from that direction, from that direction, from that direction. But if the village is close enough to the pillager outpost, that's not what happens. The raid starts in the outpost, and since the outpost is completely surrounded by a wall and is part of a mob farm, this just turned into the most amazing XP farm. And that was by act. I didn't actually intend to do that. I kind of stumbled upon that. I mean, I know you can go look up and that's what you're supposed to do, but through pure coincidence, I discovered it on my own. And so I guess happy day for that. But this is meant to be tiled. You can build another one, another one, another one, and you can make several of these. But the reality is, this tiny little iron farm simply cranks out so much iron that I just don't need another one. I have a silo full of, I don't know. I'm going to show the silos inside the fortress. My main sorting room is impressive, and the amount of iron this thing gets. So it used to be a chest right here, and I would be busy building on the fortress or working on the chicken hut or some other aspect of this, and that chest would get filled. 64 blocks, 64 stack, 56. The full double-sided chest would be completely full of iron and those poppies. I'd take the poppies. This is a bone meal machine. Super simple. This is that's not the button I wanted to push. This is a composter. So you put the poppies in here, and then they get pulled through the composter, and you get your bone meal here. And so what happened is I'd be trudging over here, and every hour I'd have to empty the chest of those poppies that the golem drops when he dies. And then I'd throw them in here and get all the bone meal I could ever want. And then this would fill up with iron, and I'd bring it over to this crafting table, and it just goes nonstop. And I would compress the iron into iron blocks, and I would start filling up chests. I had a chest laying around here, just sitting here, filling up with iron blocks. And eventually, once I got the main sorting room under the fortress built, I just extended this hopper line down underneath my farm. Throughout the whole thing is giant hopper lines, courtesy of this iron farm, producing an unlimited amount of iron. And so I've probably got somewhere in the between 2,500 and 3,000 hoppers just underneath the ground. And I kid you not, this thing did it all. And my time in this seed, in this build, is not that great, because I mean, up until recently, I was playing on a different, copy of this world, and then it got so corrupted, I gave up and just started this one over again. So this is a relatively young build. I haven't that many man hours into this, and this farm just is cranking out so much iron. It's kind of ridiculous. But I will show you all those hopper lines. I'm going to do a whole separate video on my sorting system because it will require it. It's quite intense. But at least I'll show it real quick. So this is where my cows are kept at the moment. I don't know what I'm going to do in this area. This might be where I put my sheep pens. But at the moment, my sheep pen, it's right there. And then I got a manual cactus farm right there. Oh, and there's a hopper line. You can actually, it's exposed right there because there's this hole in the ground. But let me take you into the fortress. It's not complete, but I will give you a quick tour of what's going on inside this fortress. So come this way. And real quick, as we pass by, this is an automatic, it's a semi-automatic concrete machine. You stack the concrete powder right here, right in this spot, all the way up to the sky, and then you stand right here and break these concrete blocks with your pick, and that will update this observer, and that fires the piston, and then so the concrete powder drops, hits the water, becomes concrete, and then the piston shoves it over, and you just stand right here and collect the concrete. And so you can use any color concrete or whatever you want. It's a simple high-speed mechanism for you just stand there and hold the button down, and it breaks the concrete. You don't have to do anything, so stand there, and it doesn't take long. You can get 2 stacks of concrete in about a minute. It's pretty easy. And I don't use a ton of colored concrete. It's just that I need it. I actually run my hopper lines on the colored concrete to keep track of what the hopper lines are. So we'll go into that right now. This is the main entrance to the fortress. I will make this an automated gate. Like I said, this is not a complete structure. It goes well above the cloud line. The unfinished turret, the really big one, yeah, you can't quite see it from this angle, but that one's going to go up to the build limit. So this is a relatively large fortress. So this is my entrance hall. Again, you'll notice it's similar to the entrance hall of the chateau, but on a much, much larger scale. And then it goes up. And this is obviously very much under construction. So part of the build is complete. And that part, this is going to be like the throne room. But right here. So, and that's not complete. I have to do the second floor balcony, but I got the chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. This is a complete bedroom, for instance. Okay, so this was me. Had a copper ceiling, chandelier, curtains. They slowly flutter. The bed, yes, real bed. You can set your respawn point. Bookshelves, little chest, art on the wall. So this is one of the bedrooms. Carpet on the floor, and it's lit up. There's glowstone under the carpet throughout the room, which actually keeps it lit up. So, and right now, this is where I do like I said, I moved from the chateau into, because I'm spending a lot of time in this building, so I moved my enchantment book and my anvil over here, and then this is the bedroom I've been using. So in this chest, I've got my all my diamonds from my diamond mine, another suit of not fully, but a decent suit of diamond, and I got a bunch of diamond tools, some bows, a fully loaded piercing 3 on breaking through quick charge 2 crossbow. There's my elytra. It's got the mending on it. I keep it in here. 20 emeralds, and then I got some books. Let's see. This is where I have no mending books at the moment. I have to go get a couple more of those. And I try to keep things organized, but you get so many. Because I always have a ton of levels. I mean, anytime I want to grab a quick 30 levels, I can just run over to that pillager outpost. And so that's what I really love about it's a full survival vanilla Minecraft world. The only thing I do is I run Ovo's Rustic Redemption as a resource pack because I love the way it looks. But beyond that, I have no mods. It's an unmodded game. It's fully vanilla, stock, survival, normal difficulty. So it's a more or less a bone stock setup. Excuse me. And other than Ovo's Rustic Redemption. But what I have an unlimited amount of resources because of the farms I built. So it's like playing creative only without having to cheat. And it's fantastic. That's why I love having these farms set up, with all this stuff. So let me give you. So there's not much to show you. There's no point in a full 2. It's just a completely unfinished building. I am going to have. Well, let me walk this way. This is going up. This isn't another video, but this is an automatic elevator. Takes me up here. This is where I moved the way up, and then it goes way up higher. Yeah. This is where I moved the portal. We'll go into this in a second. I want to finish showing everything here before we head into the Nether. But I have a inside. This is at the roof of the Nether, and the reason this portal's moved up here is so it would spawn near the roof. And then I built a railway system to bring me to different biomes and the end and everything else. And so I'll show you that in a moment. But first, to finish showing you what I have here in my fortress. So we're going to come this way. So this fortress, I tried to leave the natural features. When I built this, there was this ravine right here. So I left it and built the fortress around it. And I'm going to decorate it and incorporate it into the build. But the only thing I have done so far is part of the basement. And that's where the main sorting room is. So we come in here. And we have my high capacity silos.